After 5 weeks, the World Cup has finally ended, and it was a really interesting World Cup to watch. And first of all, let's go back to the 11th of June and onwards when it started. This was the first 48 team World Cup. It increased from the usual 32. And so some countries that have never made it to the World Cup, never even come close, have actually made it to the World Cup for the first time. So that's brilliant. And yeah, that's good. And so 32 teams would make it to the round 32, which is a new round. It was a new round. And only 16 teams would go home. Unfortunately, one of those teams was Scotland. Scotland have never made it out to the group stage. And unfortunately, they couldn't do that again. They weren't one of the 8 best placed teams. And unfortunately, it didn't go well for them. England topped the group. And it went well for England. But, Spain went through, France went through, and it was really concerning for England because England wanted to win the World Cup. Now, obviously, I'm focusing on a British perspective because I'm British, But there were other teams, all 3 co-hosts made it through, which is good, especially for America and Canada, who aren't really traditional association football nations, so it was really good for them. So let's focus a bit about England, and I think I talked about the group stage last time, so I'm going to go straight into the knockout stages. So England did really well, never lost to Congo, but then there was a big challenge with the humidity at the Azteca in the round 32. They faced Mexico, and it was Mexico hardly ever lost there, so England played Mexico, and England fought hard, and it was really scary at times, especially towards the end, but England actually won that match, and that was huge for England. And next was not even the round 16, quarter-final against Norway, and you know what, I kept saying, we're going to send Norway rowing home. Yes, we sent Norway rowing home, which I was absolutely delighted about that. And then after that came the semi-final, and I know it's I won't side a rivalry, but Argentina do see us as rivals. We didn't really see them as rivals. I suppose we have bad memories from 1986, but other than that, we didn't really see them as rivals. But they absolutely want to beat us. Every time they play us, they really want to beat us. We are like their ultimate rivals to them, and so it was obviously going to be hard for England. And I was a bit worried about England. Lionel Messi, arguably one of the greatest players of all time. And some people are even making bold statements, and it is a bold statement, I'm aware of this, saying that he's the best of all time. I know a lot of people will be like, what are you talking about, but people do say that, and basically very close semi-final for much of it, and England scored the first goal, but then Thomas Tuchel made what I personally believe was a catastrophic mistake to then try and go defensive, because Argentina capitalised that. And I have some terrible news, as you all are probably aware. England sadly went out in the semi-final, and that was absolutely devastating for England. People were so devastated, but you regroup, things like that. Argentina were the better team. Now that pains me to say, but anyway, Argentina were the better team, and then there's the 3rd place playoff against France, which shocks a lot of people. A lot of people thought France were going to win. I did think they were going to win, but I also did think they were not as good as the pundits were saying. I do think they were slightly overhyped, but anyway, I know that's controversial. But England did something amazing. They came 3rd, and that's their best men's senior World Cup result since 1966. That is huge. That was seismic for England, even though it doesn't feel like it. It was so much, because our men's first team, our men's senior team, whatever you want to call it, got their first World Cup medal in 60 years. I nearly lost track, it was that long ago. Yeah, so that is actually, I feel proud to come from the country that came third in the World Cup, that is actually really good, especially considering that we got to the quarter-finals last time. And that match was a really good match. England 4-0 after the first half. I'm like that, yeah, we've got third place beforehand. I'm not going to lie, I thought it was going to go to France. But anyway, but then, second half, France came back. You've got to remember the calibre of talent that France have, you know, Mbappe, Olise, Doué, they're names I thought of straight away. There is others, and they have a huge pool of talent, if you like, and I thought France were going to win, but France came back in the second half. England 4-0 up, and then France scored 3 goals in the same area, and then England scored 5th, France scored 4th, and you're like, who's going to win, it's getting to the very end, and then of course, England win, I think right before the end, England scored goal 6, and it was 6-4, one of the greatest matches in World Cup history. There's a lot of people saying that, and a lot of people, bronze final it's called now, but it was traditionally the third place playoff. A lot of people are like, it's not necessary, please stop doing it. Both managers were like, this is unnecessary, this is horrible, please stop doing it, FIFA. But I think after today, a lot of people are starting to like it again, and starting to realise what kind of match it could be. Neither team cared at the start, but by the end they both wanted to win more and more, and that was the beauty of that match. And the bronze final, or third place playoff, whatever you want to call it, was perfect. It was best match of the World Cup. Now for who actually won the World Cup. So the final was between Spain, España and Argentina, and there was a lot of people cheering on Spain. A lot of people thought Spain were the deserving team. There was people who were cheering on Argentina for Messi. But other than that, I think a lot of people thought that Spain were obviously, clearly the favourites. I don't think there was any doubt about that. I might have got that wrong, but if I remember, I think Spain were the clear favourites. A lot of people in England wanted Spain to win. I actually wanted Spain to win because I have this rule. The reason I wanted Spain to win is I have this rule: whoever beats England doesn't win the World Cup. Now I know that's quite petty, but that's my rule, and it worked the last 2 World Cups. I was cheering on France in 2018. There's a bit of pattern. I was cheering on France in 2018 because Croatia beat us in the semi-final, and anyway, France won. Then I was cheering on Argentina in 2022 because France beat us, Argentina won. So we wanted it to work again this time. France beat us in the quarter-final that time, just to clarify. But anyway, Argentina versus Spain, it was huge. Spanish language versus Spanish language, and Spain were one of only 2 teams, the other one being England, to have won the World Cup only once. Argentina were looking for a 4th. That would have put them level with Germany, and it was a really, really clear match. Spain with the better team, but then it was almost strange in a way. Spain with the better team, but neither could score a goal. It went to extra time. Anyway, Spain won, but there was really sad scenes at the end. Actually, I didn't like it. It made me quite uncomfortable. The Argentina players got angry. Very angry, and they started fighting the Spain players. And what planet are you on if you think fighting the winning team like that is acceptable? Because it's not acceptable, and it made me so sad. It made me so sad because it's the World Cup, it's meant to unify, and they did that. And it wasn't everyone. Messi was very, 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 very kind to the Spain players, shaking everyone's hand, things like that. It wasn't everyone. And then, it was horrible. There was riots in Argentina as well, and I know that was only a very small minority. The vast majority of Argentinian fans are lovely people. They're really classy people, and they love football, and they'd have been more uncomfortable than I think any of us, but it was still horrible to say. Football shouldn't be like that at the end of the day. And so it is sad that it is like that, and it's sad that a small minority have almost cast a small shadow over the team's success coming second in the World Cup. But as I say, I do want to clarify that that wouldn't be the vast majority. It was only a very small minority. So yes, in the end, Spain won the World Cup, their second World Cup, leaving England the only World Cup winner to win it only once. So that would be quite disappointing for England. But I think from an English perspective, whilst it's technically made us look bad in terms of all the World Cup winners, you could argue we're the least successful. But, you know, we're still a World Cup winner, and we can go again in the Euro 2028 and then the World Cup in 2030, which is going to be huge because it's the centenary year, and also the Euro in 2028 is in the UK and Ireland, and a significant proportion of those games are in England. So that's very good for England on an English perspective. So I am very positive. You know, third place in the World Cup, best for the men's senior team in 60 years. I am very proud of this England team. And not only that, I feel 100% really optimistic about the future of English football. And if you like that, please remember to like and subscribe for more.